The metal door swings open with a piercing squeal, momentarily hushing the raucous locker room. Conversations pause as heads swivel toward the entrance of Redwood State University's athletic sanctuary. It's the first day of summer practice, and the defending conference champions are breaking in fresh meat. Noah Walker steps through the doorway, his massive frame casting a shadow across the floor. At 6'4" and north of 300 pounds, he moves with unexpected grace, eyes forward, expression calm. His size alone commands attention, but not the kind he's hoping for. A low whistle cuts through the silence, followed by muffled snickers. Holy shit, someone stage whispers. They're recruiting sumo wrestlers now. Chase Reynolds, senior quarterback and team captain, emerges from the back row of lockers. With his chiseled jawline and perfect physique, he looks like a sculpture come to life, the polar opposite of Noah's bulky frame. His eyes narrow as he takes in the newcomer, a predatory smile spreading across his face. "You lost, big man." Chase's voice carries across the room. Cafeterias in the student union. Laughter erupts, emboldened by their leader's cruelty. Noah doesn't react, just continues toward the empty locker with his name freshly taped above it. His movements are methodical, unhurried. Seriously though, Chase continues, circling Noah like a shark. "What position are you supposed to be? Water boy?" More laughter. Noah unzips his duffel bag, pulling out cleats that look comically small against his massive hands. "Offensive line," Noah answers quietly, not looking up. "Left guard." Chase exchanges glances with Trent Wilson, his favorite wide receiver and partner in crime. "Left guard? More like left behind, am I right?" He turns to his audience, basking in their approval. Coach Peterson must be getting desperate. Noah sits on the bench, beginning to lace up his cleats with surprising dexterity for fingers that large. His movements are precise, practiced. Still no reaction to the barbs being thrown his way. "Hey, I'm talking to you, chubby checker." Chase snaps his fingers in front of Noah's face. "You deaf as well as fat." Noah finally looks up, his dark eyes meeting Chase's. There's no anger there, no hurt or embarrassment, just a flat, unwavering gaze that momentarily catches Chase off guard. For a fleeting second, something like uncertainty crosses the quarterback's perfect features. $20 says he doesn't make it through warm-ups, Trent calls out, breaking the tension. 50 says he pukes before the first water break. Another player counters. The betting continues as Noah finishes lacing his cleats. He doesn't acknowledge any of it, just continues his preparations with the same quiet focus. If the mockery bothers him, his face betrays nothing. Chase, slightly unnerved by Noah's lack of reaction, gives him a light shove as he walks past. "Hope you brought an extra heart, big boy. You're gonna need it." Noah's expression doesn't change. He just keeps lacing up his other cleat, methodical and silent. But for just a moment, the corner of his mouth twitches, not in anger or embarrassment, but what almost looks like anticipation. Redwood State's practice field bakes under the August sun. The team runs through warm-ups, a synchronized display of athleticism and conditioning that has made them conference champions 3 years running. Coach Peterson stalks the sidelines, clipboard in hand, whistle dangling from his neck like an executioner's tool. "Faster, Wilson. My grandmother moves quicker than that." Peterson's voice cuts through the humid air. "Reynolds, tighten up those spirals." Redwood's football program operates on a simple principle: excellence or exit. No excuses, no second chances. It's a culture of perfection that has sent dozens of players to the NFL and brought home championships with ruthless regularity. Noah stands out like a sore thumb among the lean, sculpted bodies. During sprints, he lumbers behind the pack, face glistening with sweat, shirt already soaked through. The team's conditioning coach watches him with a pained expression, shaking his head at the stopwatch. "Walker!" Coach Peterson barks. "Pick up the pace or pick up your gear and leave." Noah acknowledges with a nod, still moving at the same steady rhythm. Not getting faster, but not slowing down either. Just consistent. During the water break, Chase and his entourage gather near the coolers, eyeing Noah as he drinks methodically from his bottle. "Look at that," Chase sneers. "The mascot's still standing, barely." Trent snickers. "Mascot, that's perfect. He should be on the sidelines in a costume, not on the field." The nickname spreads like wildfire. By the time they break into position, drills. Everyone's using it. "Mascot, you're up. Mascot, move your ass." Even some of the assistant coaches smirk when they hear it. During offensive line drills, Noah takes his position at left guard. His technique is solid if unspectacular. When they run blocking assignments, he gets into position on time, but lacks the explosiveness the coaches are looking for. "Walker!" the offensive line coach shouts. "My grandmother hits the hole faster than you, and she's been dead for 10 years. Chase, walking past on his way to quarterback drills, shoves Noah's shoulder. "Hear that, mascot? Even a dead grandma would make a better lineman." Noah says nothing, just resets for the next repetition. But Coach Peterson, watching from a distance, narrows his eyes. Something about the new kid's demeanor doesn't match his performance. The coach has seen plenty of overweight kids trying to play at this level. They always have something to prove. Always react to the taunting. Always try too hard. But Noah almost seems to be holding back. During the scrimmage portion of practice, Chase deliberately throws a ball way over Noah's head when he's demonstrating a screen pass. "Sorry, mascot. Didn't think you could jump that high." The team erupts in laughter. Noah retrieves the ball and tosses it back with perfect spiral, the pass landing softly in Chase's hands. The quarterback blinks in surprise, then quickly covers it with another insult. As practice ends, Chase trips Noah as they head toward the locker rooms. "Oops, watch that first step, mascot. It's a doozy." Noah crashes to the ground but rolls and comes back up in one fluid motion that seems incongruous with his size. For just a moment, their eyes meet, and Chase feels an unexpected chill at what he sees there. Not anger, not embarrassment, patience, like a predator watching prey. Just waiting. 2 weeks into the season, the mascot has become a full-blown phenomenon. Noah's locker is decorated with cutout cartoon characters and stuffed animals. His practice jersey has been modified with a tail sewn onto the back. His helmet appears with googly eyes glued to the face mask. Noah removes each addition without comment, his face a mask of indifference. In the cafeteria, Chase and his cronies crowd around Noah's table, commenting loudly on his food choices. "Jesus, look at that tray," Chase announces to anyone in earshot. "That's why the meal plan costs extra for linemen." Noah continues eating methodically, one bite at a time, chewing thoroughly before swallowing. He doesn't rush, doesn't shrink, doesn't acknowledge the commentary. The pranks escalate. Noah's clothes disappear from the shower area while he's washing off after practice. He's forced to walk back to his dorm wrapped in a too small towel. His massive frame drawing stares and giggles from passing students. The next day, he arrives early, changes quickly, and is fully dressed before most players arrive. During Oklahoma drills, where players go one-on-one in a narrow corridor of teammates, Chase makes sure Noah faces the biggest, meanest defenders. On repeat, hit after thunderous hit, Noah picks himself up, dusts himself off, and lines up again. No complaints, no signs of fatigue, just the same steady focus. "He's not even breathing hard," the defensive coordinator mutters to Coach Peterson. "Kid that size should be gassed by now." Peterson watches Noah with increasing interest. "Notice anything else?" "He's holding back," the coordinator replies after a moment's observation. "Not giving full effort." "Exactly." Peterson's eyes narrow. Question is why? The next day, Noah's cleats are filled with shaving cream. The day after, his playbook pages are stuck together with Gatorade. Through it all, he remains silent, stoic, unmoved. "Why won't he react?" Trent asks Chase in the weight room. watching Noah methodically move through his routine. It's like nothing gets to him, just means we need to push harder. Chase replies, a dangerous edge in his voice. Friday's practice brings the final straw. As Noah bends to drink from the water fountain, Chase signals to 3 teammates who rush forward and shove him face first into the stream. Water soaks Noah's face and chest as the team roars with laughter. Noah straightens slowly, water dripping from his chin. For the first time, something flickers in his eyes. Not embarrassment or resignation, but something darker. He locks eyes with Chase, and for just a moment, the quarterback's laughter falters. Problem, mascot? Chase recovers quickly, stepping closer. Can't take a joke? Noah says nothing, but his breathing has changed. Deeper, more controlled. Chase pushes further. Maybe you should just quit. Save yourself the embarrassment. Enough. Coach Peterson's voice cuts through the tension. Reynolds, Walker, Oklahoma drill. Now. The team forms the human corridor, electric with anticipation. Chase, though a quarterback, is built like a safety and prides himself on his hitting ability against smaller players. He stands at one end, bouncing on his toes, a predatory grin spreading across his face. Noah takes his position at the opposite end, but something's different now. His stance shifts subtly. His eyes focus, with new intensity. The fat kid who lumbered through drills is gone, replaced by something altogether more threatening. Coach Peterson's whistle pierces the air. Chase charges forward, looking to deliver a statement hit. Noah doesn't move until the last possible second. The world slows to a crawl as Chase barrels down the human corridor, cleats digging into turf, shoulders squared for maximum impact. His trajectory aims directly at Noah's midsection, a textbook form tackle designed to fold the bigger man in half. The team leans in collectively, hungry for the collision, for the satisfying thud of the mascot hitting the ground. Noah stands perfectly still, feet planted, shoulder width apart, center of gravity impossibly low for someone his size. As Chase closes the final gap, Noah's entire demeanor transforms in a heartbeat. His knees bend slightly. His massive arms rise. His jaw sets with terrifying purpose. The impact echoes across the practice field like a thunderclap. Chase bounces off Noah's frame as if he'd hit a concrete wall. The quarterback crumples to the grass, momentarily stunned, while Noah remains unmoved. Literally unmoved. Not a single step backward from his original position. Silence descends over the team. Coach Peterson's expression remains neutral, but his knuckles whiten around his clipboard. Chase scrambles to his feet, face flushed with humiliation and rage. Again, he demands, voice cracking slightly. Coach Peterson's whistle sounds once more. This time Chase approaches with more caution, looking for an angle, some weakness to exploit. Noah simply waits, that same patient stillness emanating from his massive frame. The second collision ends exactly like the first. Chase sprawled on the ground, Noah standing firm. You got lucky. Chase snarls, pushing himself up. Twice. Noah says nothing, just resets his position. A murmur runs through the watching players. This isn't how it was supposed to go. The fat kid was supposed to break, to run away crying, to quit the team with his tail between his legs. Instead, Chase, their leader, their star, can't even move him. After the third failed attempt, Coach Peterson ends the drill. Hit the showers. That's enough for today. The locker room buzzes with hushed conversations. Noah changes quietly, in his corner, ignored for the first time in weeks. Chase huddles with his inner circle, their voices low but intense. This ends tomorrow. Chase insists, eyes burning with wounded pride. I've got a plan. The next morning, Noah arrives for practice to find the entire team waiting in the locker room. An unnatural quiet falls as he enters. Coach Peterson is conspicuously absent. Morning, mascot. Chase steps forward, arms crossed. Got something special for you today. 4 players move behind Noah, blocking the exit. Others form a loose circle, Around him, faces set with cruel anticipation. See? We've been talking. Chase continues, circling Noah like a shark. And we decided you need a proper initiation. Something to really welcome you to the team. Trent produces a large garbage bin filled with what can only be described as slop. A nauseating mixture of leftover food, sports drink, and what smells distinctly like the contents of several mop buckets. Traditional baptism for the team mascot, Chase explains with mock ceremony. After this, you're officially one of us. Or more likely, you'll finally quit and save us all the trouble. Noah's eyes move from the bin to Chase, then to the faces surrounding him. Not a friendly one in the bunch. No help coming? No way out. Nothing to say, big man? Chase taunts. No crying. No begging. For the first time since arriving at Redwood State, Noah speaks more than a simple sentence. You know. His voice is surprisingly soft, almost conversational. I kept waiting for you guys to get bored, to move on, to find someone else to torment. He rolls his massive shoulders, neck cracking, audibly. But you just couldn't help yourselves, could you? Something in his tone makes several players take involuntary steps backward. Chase falters for just a moment before recovering his bravado. Oh, is the mascot finally getting his feelings hurt? Chase nods to his teammates. Grab him! 2 players lunge for Noah's arms. What happens next defies everything they thought they knew about the fat kid with the quiet demeanor. Noah moves, not the lumbering shuffle they've seen at practice, not the slow, methodical movements they've mocked for weeks. This is something else entirely. Explosive, coordinated, devastatingly effective. His right arm shoots out like a piston, palm connecting with the first player's sternum, stopping him cold. His left pivots, redirecting the second attacker's momentum to send him stumbling into a row of lockers with a crash. The room freezes in shock. Noah hasn't just defended himself. He's done it with a speed and precision that seems impossible for someone his size. And then, most disturbing of all, Noah Walker smiles. The smile transforms Noah's face. Gone is the passive, stoic mask he's worn since arrival. In its place is something primal. A predator finally done with hiding. That's enough, Chase commands, but his voice lacks conviction. He gestures to 2 more players. Mason, Derek, get him! They hesitate, exchanging uncertain glances before moving forward with visibly less enthusiasm than their predecessors. Noah pivots to face them, still smiling that unsettling smile. You really want to do this? He asks softly. Mason, a linebacker who outweighs Noah by 30 pounds of pure muscle, lunges first. Noah sidesteps with shocking agility, grabs Mason's outstretched arm, and uses the bigger man's momentum to send him crashing into Derek. Both players go down in a tangle of limbs. 4 attempts, 4 failures. The remaining players back away, creating distance between themselves and the confrontation. The atmosphere in the locker room has shifted dramatically, from pack predators surrounding wounded prey to nervous witnesses at a revelation. Chase, desperate to maintain control, grabs the garbage bin himself. Hold him down, he shouts, but no one moves to help. Noah turns to him, rolling his shoulders again. Let me ask you something, Chase. Did you ever wonder why I never fought back? Why I took everything you dished out without complaint? Because you're weak, Chase spits, but the words sound hollow even to his own ears. Noah laughs, a deep, rumbling sound that seems to vibrate through the room. For a team captain, you're not very observant. He takes a deliberate step forward. Coach Peterson knew. I could see it in his eyes the first day. He recognized what I was. And what's that? Chase demands, unconsciously backing up until he hits the lockers behind him. I'm what coaches call a project. Big guy with untapped potential, raw talent. That needs shaping. Another step forward. Before Redwood, I was a powerlifter, state champion in 3 weight classes. Before that, defensive tackle at Hamilton High, All-State, recruited by 12 Division I schools until I blew out my knee senior year. The revelation ripples through the room. Chase blinks rapidly, trying to process this new information. Then, why? He begins. Why am I so slow? Why haven't I been performing? Noah's smile widens. Because Coach Peterson told me not to. First day here, he pulled me aside. Said he saw something in me worth developing, but I needed to learn discipline first. Said some of his players had attitude problems that needed addressing. Understanding dawns on Chase's face. This was a setup? Peterson used you to what? Teach us a lesson? Not exactly. Noah shakes his head. He just told me to hold back, to not show my full capabilities until I'd learned patience. Said a lot of guys with my build rely on power and never develop technique. He wanted to break those habits. Noah glances around the room. The hazing, the bullying, that was all you, and I was fine with ignoring it. Until today. The garbage bin in Chase's hand suddenly seems absurd, childish. He sets it down slowly, uncertainty replacing his usual arrogance. So what now? Chase asks. Now we find out if you're as good at learning lessons as I am. Noah's voice hardens. Full contact scrimmage. Today, you and your first string defense against me. Trent steps forward, finding his voice. That's 7-on-1. You can't be serious. Completely serious. Noah responds. And if Coach Peterson has a problem with it, he can take it up with me after I'm done with all of you. The locker room door swings open. Coach Peterson stands in. The doorway. Arms crossed. Expression unreadable. Problem here, gentlemen? A dozen guilty faces turn toward him. Noah alone maintains eye contact, unflinching. No problem, Coach. Noah answers, just discussing a special scrimmage drill for today's practice. Peterson's gaze travels from Noah to Chase, to the upended players still collecting themselves from the floor. One corner of his mouth quirks up slightly. Special drill, huh? He says. Care to elaborate, Walker? Just me against the first-string defense. No pads. No breaks. Peterson studies him for a long moment. You sure you're ready for that? Noah's answer is simple. I'm done waiting. The coach nods once. Decision made. Field. 20 minutes. Full. Contact. The practice field shimmers under the midday sun. Players line the sidelines, helmets in hand. An electric current of anticipation running through their ranks. Word has spread quickly. Something unprecedented is happening. Something worth skipping class to witness. At one end of the field, Chase stands with 6 defensive first-stringers. Linemen, linebackers, and safeties, all wearing full pads but no helmets. They shift nervously, exchanging uncertain glances. This isn't standard practice. This isn't sanctioned. This feels dangerous. At the opposite end stands Noah, alone. He's shed his practice jersey, revealing a compression shirt that contours to his body. What the team once mistook for simple fat now reveals itself as something else entirely. A powerlifter's build. Thick slabs of muscle layered under protective bulk. His forearms are massive, his neck a solid column, his thighs like tree trunks. Coach Peterson stands at midfield, whistle in hand. Simple drill. Walker carries the ball. Defense stops him. First to 7 points wins. 7 defenders against 1 ball carrier? The defensive coordinator questions from the sideline. That's not a drill. That's a slaughter. Is it? Peterson raises an eyebrow. Let's find out. He tosses a football to Noah, who catches it with one hand, never breaking eye contact with Chase. The coach's whistle pierces the air. Noah begins moving. Not with the lumbering gait they've grown accustomed to mocking, but with sudden explosive power. His first steps are shockingly quick, gathering momentum that seems impossible for a man his size. The defense, momentarily stunned by the transformation, recovers quickly. 2 linebackers charge forward, converging on Noah from either side. a classic pincer move that should bring down any runner. Noah doesn't attempt to evade. Instead, he lowers his shoulders slightly and accelerates directly into the first linebacker. The collision is audible from the sidelines. A heavy thud followed by a grunt of surprise as the defender finds himself driven backward, feet skidding, across turf, before he loses balance entirely and crashes to the ground. The second linebacker adjusts his angle, diving at Noah's legs. Without breaking stride, Noah hurdles over him in a display of athleticism that draws gasps from the spectators. 300 pounds of man should not be able to leave the ground that easily. Should not be able to clear a diving tackler with room to spare. The defensive line surges forward, 3 massive bodies forming a wall of muscle and aggression. Noah changes direction with a sharp cut that belies his size, finding a seam between defenders that shouldn't exist. One lineman manages to grab his jersey, but Noah simply accelerates. The fabric stretching, but his momentum unbroken. 20 yards, downfield. Only Chase and the free safety remain between Noah and the end zone. The safety takes a perfect angle. Textbook form. Arms wrapped securely around Noah's midsection as he makes contact. Noah doesn't stop, doesn't even slow. He simply carries the defender the remaining 15 yards, the safety's cleats dragging through the turf, unable to generate enough friction to impede the bigger man's progress. At the 5-yard line, Chase makes his stand, eyes wide with disbelief but jaw set with determination. He plants his feet and prepares for impact. Noah could easily sidestep him. There's open field to either side. But he doesn't. This isn't about scoring now. This is about sending a message. Noah lowers his center of gravity and accelerates one final time. The collision between team, captain and the former mascot, resonates across the field like a thunderclap. For the briefest moment, they're suspended in perfect equilibrium, force meeting counterforce. Then physics reasserts itself. Mass times acceleration proves irresistible. Chase goes airborne. His body describes a perfect arc as he's lifted off his feet, suspended momentarily above the grass, before crashing down hard on his back. The impact drives the air from his lungs in an audible whoosh. He lies there, gasping, as Noah crosses the goal line unimpeded. Complete silence falls over the field. Then one player begins to clap. Another joins in. Within seconds, the entire sideline erupts into cheers and shouts of disbelief. Noah turns and walks calmly back to midfield, where Coach Peterson stands with the hint of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "That's one," Noah says, tossing the ball back to the coach. 6 more to go. Chase pushes himself up onto his elbows, still struggling to breathe. His eyes meet Noah's across the field, and for the first time since becoming team captain, Chase Reynolds feels something he's never experienced on a football field. He feels fear. The remainder of the scrimmage unfolds like a highlight reel of dominance. 6 more times Noah takes the ball. 6 more times he reaches the end zone. The defense throws everything at him. Double teams, cut blocks, even an illegal horse collar tackle that Coach Peterson pointedly ignores. Nothing works. Nothing even slows him down. By the 5th touchdown, most defenders have stopped trying to tackle Noah head-on, instead making half-hearted attempts to grab his jersey or swipe at his ankles. Only Chase continues to meet him directly, absorbing punishment with each collision, dragging himself to his feet with diminishing speed after each knockdown. When the final whistle blows, the scoreboard tells a story no one would have believed an hour earlier. 7-0. One man against a Division I defense. David versus 7 Goliaths. Except in this version, David is the giant. An impromptu crowd has gathered. Players from other sports, students passing by, even a few assistant coaches from different teams. Word travels fast at Redwood State. Everyone wants to see the fat kid who's apparently not fat. The walking punchline who's suddenly having the last laugh. Noah stands in the end zone after his final score. Barely winded, barely sweating. He tosses the ball to Coach Peterson and walks toward the locker room without celebration. Without taunting, without looking back at the devastation he's left behind, Chase sits on the field, grass stains covering his practice uniform, a trickle of blood running from his nose. His usual entourage keeps their distance, suddenly finding intense interest in their cleats, in the cloudless sky, in anything but their fallen leader. Reynolds. Coach Peterson calls, gesturing for Chase to join him. The quarterback limps over, bracing himself for a tirade about leadership failures and team dynamics. Instead, Peterson simply hands him a towel for his bloody nose and says, "Go talk to him. Coach Walker, go talk to him." Now, the locker room is eerily quiet when Chase enters. Noah sits on a bench, methodically unwrapping the tape from his hands. Hands that, Chase now notices, bear the calluses and scars of years of serious weightlifting. Chase clears his throat. Noah looks up, his expression neutral. "That was impressive," Chase manages, the words feeling wholly inadequate. "Thanks," Noah continues unwrapping his hands. "Why didn't you?" Chase struggles to find the right question among dozens competing in his mind. Why let us treat you like that when you could have done that any time? Noah considers the question. Would you have respected me if I'd just come in throwing my weight around? Or would you have worked even harder to take me down? The question hits Chase with unexpected force. He knows the answer immediately. Of course they would have targeted Noah even more intensely if he'd shown his true ability from day one. That's how team hierarchies work. That's how Chase has always operated. "You played us," Chase says, realization dawning. "All of us. I played the long game." Noah corrects him. "Coach Peterson taught me the difference." Chase nods slowly, then extends his hand. After a moment's hesitation, Noah takes it. When the team arrives for practice the next morning, the atmosphere has fundamentally changed. Noah's locker has been cleared of all mascot paraphernalia. His proper name is used in drills. When he speaks, players listen. Most telling of all is the way Chase interacts with him. Not with the forced respect of someone who's been physically dominated, but with the genuine deference one athlete shows another whose skills they genuinely admire. Coach Peterson watches it all with a satisfied expression. When Noah catches his eye across the field, the coach gives him a single, approving nod. "Told you I belonged here," Noah says to no one in particular as he takes his position on the line. 3 months later, Redwood State clinches the conference championship on their home field. As the final seconds tick down, the offensive line creates a perfect pocket for Chase, who delivers a bullet pass to the end zone. The crowd erupts, students pouring onto the field in a sea of the school's crimson and gold. In the locker room, amid the celebration, Chase climbs onto a bench, raising his hands for silence. Before Coach gives his speech, "I want to say something." The room quiets immediately. "We wouldn't be here without every single one of you. But there's one player who changed this team in ways that don't show up on the stat sheet." All eyes turn to Noah, who stands in the back, a towel draped around his neck. "Walker," Chase continues, "when you first walked in here, I thought you were a joke. We all did. I've never been so wrong in my life." He raises his water bottle. "To the strongest player on this team. And I don't just mean physically." The locker room erupts in cheers. Noah accepts the acclaim with a small smile and a nod of acknowledgement. He's lost 30 pounds since that first day, his body transforming through proper training and nutrition into a formidable athletic presence. No one calls him mascot anymore. Now they call him Wall, because nothing and no one gets past him on the line. After the celebration dies down and players begin to disperse, Coach Peterson finds Noah gathering his gear. "Got a minute?" the coach asks. They walk together toward the now empty field, their breaths visible in the late November air. "NFL scouts were watching today," Peterson says casually. 3 of them asked about you specifically. Noah nods, taking in the information without visible reaction. You know, Peterson continues, most guys in your position would have quit that first week, or thrown a punch, or complained to administration about harassment. I'm not most guys. No, Peterson agrees. You're not. That's why I pushed you the way I did. He stops walking, turning to face Noah directly. But I have to ask, how did you know it would work out? How did you know all that patience would pay off? Noah looks out across the darkened field, considering the question. My dad used to tell me something when I was a kid. He says finally, everyone's going to underestimate you in life. They'll judge you by how you look, not who you are. You can fight it every time, or you can use it to your advantage. He smiles, not the predatory smile from the showdown, but something warmer, more reflective. People see what they expect to see. They saw a fat kid, so they expected weakness. Their mistake. Peterson claps him on the shoulder. Their mistake indeed. As they turn to leave, Noah pauses. You know what the best part was? That moment when Chase realized he'd had it wrong the whole time, when his entire worldview just collapsed. He chuckles softly. Almost worth all. The fat jokes. Almost. Peterson raises an eyebrow. Well, Noah shrugs, a mischievous glint in his eye. Let's just say there's a reason I suggested Chase for the ice bath after tonight's win. Some debts need to be paid in full. The coach's laugh echoes across the empty stadium as they walk toward the lights of the athletic complex, their footsteps leaving temporary marks on the frost-covered grass, evidence of their passing that will vanish by morning, while the lessons learned will endure long after the season ends. Next time, maybe they'll think twice before mocking the big guy.